Hi, my name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today, I want to continue to keep talking about something that I've been talking about that really just has it in me to have to keep on just saying the same stuff and saying the same things, but in different ways, and adding a little extra to it and taking a little away, and continue to keep doing that because it's something that I've finally been really just digging deep lately with reading this Bible and going page by page, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, just book by book, and really realizing something for my own self that I don't think I've ever in my entire life have realized is the understanding of how this book is written and in what context this book is written and why this book is written. That it's such a fascinating thing to actually just read the entire thing as opposed to just listen to what someone else has to say about it. And I get it. It's something today that this is something that I'm going to say is a plan of the evil things of the world today. That we look at reading this book today as like work, as just, I'd rather just watch these videos. I'd rather watch these movies. I'd rather go to this theme park. We got so much to do today, as opposed to, in reality, when this book was put together and everything was with it, that's kind of like the highlight of our day, to be able to read some stories, because that's what this book is. It's some stories. It's not just like a one-off passage of here and a one-off. No, it's stories that they really put you in a suspense. Is the way that I could say it. It's so different than what I ever really anticipated it to be by the way that I used to study it and the way that I've been studying it this past year, as opposed to the way that I'm listening to it today. It's fascinating because it's going through the whole timeline, the whole story, the whole everything. You're getting the whole grip of everything that's going on. When you're wondering about Jacob and his life, it's giving you this whole bringing of what his mother did and how his brother was and what his father was doing and what was going on with it and how he got his blessings and what kind of a person he was. And how he got into trouble and how he got out of that trouble and just everything that was going on with it. It's just like it's such a suspenseful movie that when I read it, I'm just like, if I had the funds to make a movie, I'm gonna do this because it's more than just boring blah 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 garbage. It's so suspenseful. It'll get you like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Because you're reading some stuff and you're just like, man, that sounds complicated. Like that sounds like he's gonna get in trouble if he does that, right? And then you read through it and you're just like, man, how did he get through that? How did he be able to make that? It's such an interesting thing. But I do know that this book on an Audible book is 75 to 90 hours long. And someone might say, that's a long time. But in reality, that's a fraction. Because when you start listening to it, you start to get so involved that you're just like, I want to know more. I want to learn more. I want to figure out more. I want to, what's going to happen next? Because it's just going from the beginning and going and going and going and going and going. It's not even like flip from here and flip from there. And that's where, for me personally, I would get so complicated when people would be talking this Bible. Because you're going here, you're going there, you're going over here, you're going back there, you're going here. And it's just like, why can't we, what's going on here? And for me, it's just a fantastic thing to just, for the first time, put my foot down, just say, I'm reading it, I'm learning it, I'm understanding it, I'm going to dedicate. That's the best way of putting it. I'm going to dedicate to my life to figure out how to be able to explain this and do something about this book, to put it out there so that more people can understand the stories behind it and realize the greatness that's behind it and not the destruction that's there. Is there some stuff that's going on that's bad? Look at our history as human beings. This is just what we do. Look at what's going on today. Are we not talking about war? Are we not thinking about, 10 people died because of the war and oh, it's okay because it was only 10? This stuff has always been going on, and today we're getting desensitized to the point that this Bible is starting to look like that's exactly the way to say it, as something that is just so pristine and so beautiful with no tragedy behind it because of the tragedies that are actually going on today. The tragedies that went on in this book, I'm telling you, make today look, we're still in PG in this book. In today's world, our real world, not movies, not none of that, but our real world is starting to headed into some rated R and some mature audience only type stuff is going on around us today. And that's something that is very, very challenging and is very, very, it's misleading on when you would look at your natural real world today, right now, 23, we're in what, June of 25, 6, June, let me figure out today, June of 28th of 2023 today. We have more horrific tragedies that are going on, more things that are we should try to get our eyes away from going on today than anything that's been written in this Bible. At least so far that I've written so far, and that I haven't done the whole thing, haven't gone through the whole thing, but I'm almost going to slap and say a guarantee on that. that we are doing things today that are way more tragic than this Bible ever even talks about. So someone's going to say, I don't like this and I don't appreciate this and this is so mean and this is so horrible. Just look at what your human beings are doing to each other right now. And today I want to read in the book of Exodus to the 20th chapter down to the 7th verse. And I'm going to read this verse. It's the third commandment. The third commandment, and it's fascinating because the first four are basically talking about what it is that we should do and how we should treat and represent God and represent who Jesus and what Jesus is all about. That's what the first four are all about. So the third one today is in the 7th verse. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. And that's something interesting because I have it in me of knowing that a lot of people are thinking if you stub your toe and you say, oh God, oh Jesus, when something happens, when you're using terms and language like that, that's kind of what this is talking about. I've heard that many times in my life. You shouldn't have anything to say about anything that's bad happening and just say, oh Jesus Christ. And that's not, in my opinion, what it is that I understand based on reading more and more of this book, especially reading everything prior to when the commandments came out for Moses to be able to read to the people. The things that Moses was doing to the Pharaoh, to the kings, to be able to let his people go. The things that were going on, and people are misusing, misrepresenting, misputting out the word of who God and what God is all about. And that's what I'm going to say. And that's where there's something fascinating that goes on in this book that is just fascinating. I can't say other than fascinating because it's fascinating. Because it's when Moses goes up to the Pharaoh and says, let my people go. You've been good, you've been great. And everyone got enslaved. I mean, that's the stories I could tell. I could explain that story, but that's not what we're talking about today. We'll get on to that after this. But the reasoning on why they got enslaved. Why did the people get enslaved in the first place? Was there someone come and just ruthlessly take them and force them on? No, that's not what happened. What happened was they got enslaved in a very nice and very kind and very compassionate way. Something like that's confusing, but I'm telling you, I'll explain that story one day. But it's very fascinating when he went to the Pharaoh and he said, because the people changed. There used to be a Pharaoh that was, I'm going to say, cool, calm, and collected. That was loving. That was very compassionate. That was very slow to anger. That was super self-controlled. There was a Pharaoh there. And then it switched. Ownership switched. And then a new one came in. And this dude was not the friendliest, not the nicest, not the most caring. He's all about just dictation and all about when you think of slave work, this is slave work. When you're not, you don't get breaks. You got to figure out more. You're working more. You used to work a nice 8-hour day. Now he's like, that's too, I need you to work 16 hours a day. You used to work 5 days a week. Now he's like, I need you to work 7 days a week. You used to get vacations and holidays. You don't get no vacations, no holidays anymore. You used to get the right equipment to be able to do your job. You don't get that anymore. He's all about cutting costs and making sure that his profits are going to be better. A new person came in. So that Moses was like, we can't be doing this. We can't do this. And it's very fascinating because the Pharaoh and all these people know who God of the world, that the creator is. They know who he is. They just don't care to follow him. Because I don't know why, but they have it in them that they have their own people. Their own, what they call them, magi. Let me get the exact thing that they're saying. The sorcerers and the magicians. They had their own sorcerers and magicians that were able to do miracles, like God's-like work. They were able to transform and be able to change, be able to manipulate the world, be able to get what it is that they want. So they had their own gods, which those were their gods to them. The magicians and the sorcerers were gods to them, which is it's very fascinating because when you have that and you can see a human being doing things that are like God-like, you're going to say, what the heck do I need a God for that I can't see, that I can't touch, that I can't hear, that I can't do anything with? Why would I need that when I have it right here? So they started following those gods, and they started having earthly human gods. And then that's where God is coming to say, make sure we're not putting and saying that this came from God when it came from a sorcerer, when it came from a magician, when it came from a witch, when it came from a warlock, when it came from these people. That's not at all, that's not who God says we do not misuse my name and put my name on that. The creator of this world, the creator of you and me, the creator of all these animals, the creator of everything and how everything works and how everything functions for us to be able to survive out here, do not try to put his name on that stuff. That's exactly what he's saying here, because these magicians were able to do some stuff, but then it ran into a situation where God had to really show his true, absolute, massive glory. He had to show who and represent himself to say, I know what your sorcerers are able to do. I see what your magicians are able to do. I see what your witches are able to do. But I could do something so much greater that they're just going to be baffled at what it is that I'm capable of doing. And God did show up and represent and make known to the people who it is, and what he's all about. And that's where when Moses went to the people, he started saying, let my people go. And then he said, okay, well, show Pharaoh the rod and the snake. Throw it on the floor and the rod turns into a snake. So Moses does that to show to Pharaoh how powerful God is. And the Pharaoh's like, who cares, dude? My magicians could do that. My sorcerers could do that. Watch. And then he does it for him. And he's like, oh man, I'm defeated. So Moses walks away defeated. Like, he just showed me up ×3 in reality. And even though Moses' snake did gobble up the other ones, Pharaoh still looks at it like, so they can still just do it again. That's nothing. That's meaningless. So Moses is like, I gotta head on out of here. I gotta try something different. So then he comes again with the understanding and the power behind him of God, and he comes with his staff and he turns all the water into blood. And all the water goes to blood. All the fish die. Everything is just a tragedy, and it smells and it stinks and it rakes, and it's just horrid. And then he's like, see, that's the power of God. And the Pharaoh's like, check this out. And he has his magicians and his sorcerers and his witches and his warlocks come out to do the same thing. Bam, see, I could do that too. What does that matter? It's meaningless, dude. And then they can actually change it back as well. So Moses is defeated again. Like, man, what's going on here? Hey, Oreo, what's going on here? Because everything that I'm sitting here doing and trying to show and trying to prove who God is to this man, their people could do it ×10. So what do I have to do here? So he's got to go back, and God's got to talk to him and say, hey, hold on, let's go to the next thing. So the next thing he goes to is the plague of the frogs. He brings frogs everywhere. He just puts them everywhere. And it just makes an absolute mess, a horrible disgust, a horrible situation that there's just frogs, and it's just frogs jumping and hopping, and it smells, it's stanky, and it's just nasty, and it's everywhere. But in this one, the magicians are trying. It doesn't say it though. They're silent in this one. They don't say anything, speak up anything, make anything happen. Pharaoh doesn't say that he sends them off. So all I can do is assume, and assume is not the greatest, but I'm going to assume right here and put in just to say that they were trying. They were trying in the background, like, I see what's going on here, and the sorcerers and the witches and the magicians were all like, we could do that too. But they're able to do it. So Pharaoh, in the end, asked Moses, can you please let that up, man? Like, let that up. Like, please let that go, and we'll let your people free. And then after he lets it up, he says, no. Actually, you can't go free. And probably more than likely because one of the sorcerers was able to actually replicate such a thing. And then it goes on to the next plague. So we're already going into many things where Moses is proving who his God is, who the God of the God of this world is. He's proving. Pharaoh knows. He knows. This is what's the interesting thing. He knows about this God. He just doesn't appreciate it, care about him, want to do anything for him. But he does know about him. He does know that it's real. He does know that the power that's out there. He's just trying to make sure that everyone else is not able to follow him. That's why he doesn't want to let his people go, to let his people go follow the one true God. He wants all the people to follow him. He doesn't want, Pharaoh wants all the people to follow Pharaoh. Pharaoh does not want the people to go and follow the true God. He wants to be the God. He wants to be that. That's why he's got his sorcerers around him to be able to replicate such a thing so that he can look to be such a thing to get the people to worship him. It's just so fascinating because there's this stuff that goes on today that just I don't know, it's interesting. So he lets the frogs go, and Pharaoh changes his mind and says, nope. So Moses goes defeated, and he comes back again with another one, and he brings the gnats. And gnats, I don't know, gnats are challenging. They're so tiny, they're so little. They're when they buzz in your ear, it's some hard stuff to deal with when you're trying to work around a whole bunch of gnats. It's like, I'm gonna say, an impossible, for me at least, I don't know about you, but when I work out in these fields and they're just surrounding me and won't let me go, and I'm out there sweating and it's hot and I'm put a fence up and I'm working and I'm trying to clean out a barn and they're just surrounding me, it's unlivable. It's impossible. You gotta take a break. You gotta go put some insect repellent on to be able to figure out how to be able to deal with this. This is some of the most challenging stuff to deal with. So Moses comes back and he puts that plague out there. There it is. And something interesting here, because this is the first time that Pharaoh comes and he says, the people, the sorcerers, the magi, the witches and the warlocks, and the what else is there? The magicians, they were not able to replicate this. So they may have been able to do such a small thing with the frogs, but when it came to these gnats, they didn't know what to do with it. They couldn't replicate it. They couldn't make it happen. So then this here is, for the first time, I'm going to guarantee that it got into Pharaoh like, this God is more powerful than my gods. This God is able to do something more than I ever thought or knew, or even had any sort of idea. So he had it in him to finally, for the first time, say, your God's powerful. Your God's real powerful. But Pharaoh, and being the, man, that's perfect, the malicious dictator that he was, he still says, I don't even care. I don't care that my magicians can't do that. I don't care that your God is powerful. I'm still not going to let your people go, because this still isn't enough. So he had to go further, go into flies, go into livestock, go into the boils, go into hail, go into locusts, go into darkness, go into the plague of the firstborn. He had to go deep, all the way deep, to the point of actually taking human life to be able to get this man to finally say, I respect your God, because no one out here is able to do what it is that your God has now been able to do. Because I guarantee you, through all of these plagues, he was having his magicians and his sorcerers and his witches and his warlocks do everything possible to figure out how to be able to replicate. And I'm going to guarantee every single one of those he was able to replicate. When they said to make it dark, I guarantee, yeah, one of his sorcerers be able to do such a thing. Even if it was for 2 seconds, a smith, he's like, that satisfies me. No, I'm not letting your people go, because my gods are still great, because they're still able to replicate what it is that your God's able to do. And that's something that is very, very interesting, because he's trying to force the people to believe in a God while he's misrepresenting who the true God is. And he's doing this on purpose. There's no way that he's not, because he knows what they want. He knows what they're looking for. He wants to be free. And it's interesting because it doesn't say how many people in total, but there was 600,000 men is what it says that left, that were trying to leave. So out of 600,000 men, there's usually more women. So there's usually like 700,000 women. And then they have their children as well. And then these days, these was having kids. They were having 5, 6, 7 kids apiece. It wasn't no 1 or 2s or 3s. It was like 5 or 6. So we're talking over 5+ million people here that are trying to leave. We're talking 5 million people here that are trying to get out of here, that are trying to go and be able to praise and worship the God that Moses is trying to get them to go to, knowing who the true creator is of this world, knowing who the God of Isaac, of Moses, of Abraham, of Jacob, of Israel, of all these people, knowing who that God is. They want to go follow that God. They want to get away and let this fake God go. This fake God that Pharaoh wants to be, as being a representation of exactly why this commandment is here. They're trying to get you to worship false gods, to say that this God is the God of the creation, and being able to just make you think that that's where it is that you should be, and that's where it is that you belong. And that's exactly 100% what's going on today. Where there's some people out here that are saying you worship the stars in astrology. That comes from God. God created the stars, right? So it comes from God, the one true God, and that is 100% false. That is the same as worshiping some plants and some animals out here. That is 100% false. That is 100% wrong. That is straying away from the one true God, because when the people start to get this, I don't know what this is, but the people start to get frantic, start to get irritated, start to get in their feelings when they don't see miracles happening all the time. And that's the problem, where I'm going to say is why the old is the old and the new is the new. That we have to go away from our works to going into our faith. Because when you see the miracle the first time, you kind of depend on that every single time. You're like, I need that miracle to happen, or God's not real. And that's what they started doing. They started complaining. Oh, you brought us here and there's no food. And then he just has to do a miracle and there's food. Oh, you brought us out here and there's no water. And then he did a miracle and now there's water. Oh, you've been gone for more than 40 days. Oh, we need to create our own golden calf. And it's fascinating, the story is fascinating about that, because it's not that they actually created a calf. They literally just took the gold, smelted it down, and then it just appeared. That's exactly how they said it. This book is phenomenal. It just appeared, and they're just like, oh, I guess that's God then. Okay, let's go put that there and let's go worship that, because that's God. Oh, praise God, there's God, the golden calf. And God had to come right after he already gave them the commandments of don't have any worship any idols or anything different. And that's the first thing that they do, because Moses is gone for more than 30 days. The people, when we need to see these magic, we need to see this magic. And that's the same thing that's happening today with us as a people. We need to see the magic, or we don't think that God is real. So you got to go to the psychics to try to get information right now, right here, right now, right now. Because if you don't see it, you don't get to feel it, you don't get to touch it, you don't think it's real. And that's where God is warning us to stay away from things like that. He's saying that is not the creator of the universe. That is not the creator of this land. That is not who Jesus Christ is in any sort of way. When you're going to all these places, you're going to these psychics, you're going to these mediums, you're going to these cards, you're going to these incense, you're going to the stars, you're going to these moons, you're going to these suns, you're going to all these things. These are the things that God has created. And that all those things are the golden calf that God strictly prohibited and says, just don't do that. Don't misrepresent who I am. And that's a huge thing that I'm going to say is going on today, especially when you're going into this spiritual stuff where they're talking about raising your vibration levels and getting your chakra levels and getting all your stuff. That's all the same stuff where people are saying that's the one source of God. And God is saying, do not misrepresent my name. That is not me. That is not what I'm about. That is not anything that I'm trying to represent out here. And that's the major thing of where this third commandment really is real powerful. It's real powerful and it's real specific and it's real direct. And I think a lot of people just read right past it. So stop going out there and trying to explain to somebody of how many lives you've had, because that's all. God created that and he made that and this is where he came from. Stop misrepresenting him. Stop trying to put information out there to people about if you raise your spiritual vibration and you do this and you do this and you take this and you go here and you bow like this and you pray like that and you go like that, that you're going to be able to hear God. And that is a false representation and that is a misuse of God's name. Making sure that when you want to show and share and bring to someone who God is and what God is all about, making sure that you are representing him the correct way. So for me, that's exactly I'm going to say the major change that has happened in my life, that I've had to really start to dig deep with something based on what someone said to me that I'm just like, I hear you, man. I hear exactly what you're saying. And that's why for me, I'm blessed and I'm humbled to be so teachable. And I understand where I'm doing something wrong and trying to move into doing something better. And I was humbled in a way of speaking about God in a way that I'm just speaking it in misrepresenting him, I guess, is the way that I would say it. And now I have to change and go to his book to get a better understanding of being able to make sure that I'm representing exactly what it is that he is and represent exactly what it is he's talking about. And the stories that I talk about need to come exactly from that. Not stories that I just make up on life experience that I've had out here, but stories that are already written about what mankind has done and what human beings are all about and what the animals are all about, what the animals are for, how we're able to use them, what the lands are for, how the rain works, how our government systems work. This book goes into detail about everything that goes on. Every single dictatorship that's gone on, every single capitalist system that's gone on. This book has all that information in it. And that's why it's so fascinating. And that's why I would encourage more and more people to just grab you one and just start reading through it. And if you can't read through it, we've got unlimited amount of different editions on Audible Book now that you're able to get to listen to. It's something that you just listen to. And even if it's something that you got to listen to for 20 minutes before you go to sleep, put it on. And then allow it to just play out a few chapters while you're sleeping. You're even going to get something from that than just doing nothing at all. And that's why you're going to really start to understand who and what God is all about. You're really going to get away from the negative things you thought about him and start to understand whys and whats and everything that's happening with it. You're really going to get a different view of it. Instead of just trying to find one passage to make you feel good right now, read the stories. The stories are fantastic. These stories are no different than throwing on a Netflix movie series and going through your dramatic stage of suspense of like, ooh, what's going to happen? Oh, nothing happened. Ooh, what are they going on with that? Oh, nothing going on. Ooh, what's going to happen here? What's happening there? The stories are written exactly like that to just really entertain you, but at the same time teach you. And that's where I'm going to say it's fascinating. It's not just some dry, boring, basic, going nowhere, doing nothing type information. It's very, very fascinating. It's very, very uplifting. It's very, very revealing. It just shares and shows a whole lot about us as humans and what we're all about and what we're out here doing. And it shows exactly where it is that we came from. And if we keep doing the stuff that we came from and knowing that it led to disaster, why would we want to move forward and keep on doing that same thing? That's why for me, when I read the stories about Pharaoh, it just really puts it in me to see exactly what's going on in our world right now today. Right now today. He doesn't want to let his people go. It's the same way we have a whole bunch of countries out here today that are trying to force these dictatorships upon people, trying to force wages upon people, trying to tell people what to do, where to go, how to act, how to do, how to be, how much to work. If you don't work this, you're going to be even further enslaved, in jail enslaved than your enslavement. And it's fascinating because we have that going on today. This stuff that is going on in the book of Exodus is going on today, right here, right now. Everything is happening the same way. And if we continue to keep doing that, we know what's going to happen. We know where it's going to go. We know where it leads. We know what, in reality, God is going to have to do. And that's for the people that do know and do understand and do have it in them. That's why I'm going to say that all these dictators out here and all this negative madness that's going on the planet today, they know that God is real. They know it. They just don't want us to know it. They don't want us to understand it. They don't want us to be able to push forward with it. That's why every movie that you see about understanding who God and who Jesus is, it's always about just how horrible God is, how mean he is, how these people are just taking advantage of children all the time, abusing all the people all the time, as opposed to showing how great and how loving and how caring and how amazing God is. Because that's exactly who he is when it comes down to his people. And the people that are trying to destroy him, he has no choice but to, in reality, destroy them. Because they're stopping and hindering his people from doing what it is that they need to do. And especially when you know that God is real, when you know that this land was created, when you know it, and then you're trying to prohibit the person next to you from being able to understand it, to be able to live it, to be able to get in it, God's going to 100% have to do something, what I'm going to say is drastic. Because you are 100% trying to hinder somebody from getting somewhere, even though you know it to be true. You don't want them to be able to have the success because you want to be able to control them, enslave them, manipulate them, use them. And that's all just negative madness that's going on this planet. And that's the part where for 100% fact, that's why God is going to come in and do what it is that he did to Pharaoh. That's why God is going to come in and continue to keep on challenging them, and keep on pushing them, and keep on pushing them, and pushing them, pushing them, until he actually just decides to actually, you know what, just do what you got to do. And then when he decides to let them go do what they got to do, then what does he do then next? He still follows them. Is that lightning or a truck fell? He still follows them to try and to kill them all. He sends all his army out after them to go and get them. And then God still continues to keep doing miracle after miracle after miracle to make sure that his people are able to get away. And then what happens in the end, all of Pharaoh and all his people, they just end up passing away because they were trying to stop them from going to God. And God is more powerful than any human on this planet. He's more powerful, he's more capable, he's more willing, he's more passionate, he's forever, he's not going to quit, he's going to get done what he's going to get done, and you're not going to win against him. That's the main message that's going to happen in this Bible. And when people understand that know that, they try to do everything in their power to make sure that you don't know that information. Because you can get out of and away from what it is that you're struggling with. You can get out of and away from what it is that's going on that is just destroying and damaging you. You can get out of that. But there's some people out here that don't want you to know that because they have it in them to just force you to just keep you stuck. And the more that you're stuck and don't know, the more that you're going to listen to them. And the more that you're going to treat them and appreciate them as they are the gods. And the new information that they try to bring to you. Pay attention to the astrology. Pay attention to the readings. Pay attention to the cards. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. There's like an unlimited amount of things out here now that they want you to pay attention to except for the name of Jesus and the Bible. They're trying to get you to just pay attention to all these other things. They're saying everything out here is to lead to the one source of God. Everything out here is all together. Every single religion is all together. Hinduism is the same. Buddhism is the same. Muslims, Islam is the same. The Nation of Islam is the same. All the tribes of Israel are all the same. They're trying to say that everything is all the same, and that is 100% false. That is to put you in the confusion of not knowing. Because especially, I don't know what it is, but I've been paying a real close attention to a lot of these different tribes and these different things and these different organizations. That if you have hate towards a specific race on this planet, that is not from God. That is not of God in any sort of way. There is not one time that even though Pharaoh was driving them so hard that they said to Moses, you should hate these people because of what they're doing to you. No, he never, ever said that. He never, ever did that. And in reality, Moses went to him with kindness and compassion every single time that he went to him with a new thing to try to show him that God was telling him to do. He never said to him, hate them and go and destroy them because of what it is that they have done to you. He's never said that. Hey guys. That rooster fine. He never said to do that. So when you have a group out here, an organization out here that's all about let's hate the white people or let's hate the black people, I'm telling you that is 100% not of God. You should not be out here hating a group of people just because of the way they look. You should be paying more attention to the character and who they are as a person, not at all about what they look like and how they act. I know for a fact on why I was treated in such a way in my life, because of the way that I acted, the way that I was doing. And it had nothing to do with my color. It has everything to do with my character. When my character is on point, I get hired. But when I'm sloppy, when I'm behind, when I'm not doing what I'm saying, when I'm not getting done what I said I was going to get done, that's where things are going to start to get a little wishy-washy going on. But when you're doing what you say and you stand up and you're on time and you're making things happen, your color just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And we're confused as a people today, and that's all a manipulation of the enemy. And when you're in confusion, I'm telling you, you are far away from God. When you're thinking that you need to start being this and doing this and acting this, you are far away from God. And that's why for me, even just how I've changed how I dress now with the videos that I do, I'm doing that in a way of being able to make sure that I'm representing the difference of what it is that I was and the difference of where it is that I want to continue to keep going. Knowing that there's some things out here that we have to do, we have to respond to make sure that I'm showing and representing something different, that I'm showing something that is not going to be the same, that I'm showing and being something that is going to be a more care and a more likeness. Not that I'm going to do something just to look a certain way so you have to treat me and act to me a certain way. No, my character is the reason on why you're going to talk to me the way that you're talking to me. My character is the reason why you're not going to come up to me and just start yelling at me and start bickering with me and start arguing with me. That's the huge difference that's going on here. Not because of how I look, not because of how I dress, not because of what I have. Don't treat me based on any of that. Treat me based on how it is that I'm able to perform and able to get some stuff done. And that's why the people, no matter what Moses did, and Moses being a perfect character to be able to step up to the plate, and Moses being a person that God has chose to be able to do what it is that he does. It's interesting because doesn't even explain who his parents are. It doesn't even say his mom and dad's name. It just says it came from these people. And he came here and he ended up murdering somebody. He murdered somebody in a defense because he saw someone else, one of the slave masters runners, murdering one of his people. Saw him just beating on him savage to the point that I think if he continues to keep going, he's going to kill him. So he had to step up and say, I'm going to defend my people. And that's a person that's required and needed to be able to work with God, is the way that I see it for sure. And the people all knew that he did that. And the people all were still able to follow him. Why? Because he stood up and he still kept doing and getting done what he said he would get done. He said, I'm going to get you out of here. And what did he do? He got them out of there. He said, slow down, relax. The food, you don't have food? I'm going to get food for you. He said, hold on, you thirsty? I'm going to get water for you. Hold on, you don't know where to go and what to do? Hold on, I'm going to get that information to make sure that you're going to be able to do. He always got stuff done. His character is what mattered. Not what he looked like, not how he talked, not his speech, not none of that. Because he even said it multiple times, I'm not that great of a speaker. I don't know how to speak that great. So that's why I asked, get your homie then. Get Aaron up here with you so that he can help you out with this. Because I know that you're not that great at that. But God is so powerful that he's able to get him some assistance to be able to make sure that he was going to be able to get done what it is he needed to be able to get done. And that's the big thing here, is stop misusing and stop misrepresenting who God and what God is all about. Stop trying to put stories out there about things that have happened to you and attach the name of God if you know and when you know 100% fact that that's not true and that didn't happen. Stop coming out here on the YouTube and saying, I just prayed and I manifested because I was just thinking and worshiping the money and wanted money. I wrote the check and I worshiped the check and I worshiped the check and I got the money. And thank God, God gave me this. That has nothing to do with God in any sort of way. That has nothing to do with him in any way. So stop. That's the thing that we need to really figure out our hardest to get away from. And just start to really appreciate the actual true God that's out here. And start to actually pray to the true God that's out here. Stop praying to money. Stop praying to women. Stop praying to men. Stop praying to the moon. Stop praying to the sun. Stop praying to an altar, because that's done. That's finished. That's over with. We get away from that. We're done with that. And we need to make sure that we're not trying to bring people in to understanding that this is what God is all about and giving out false stuff. You want to bring people into God? The best way of the biggest change that I've seen in my life to be able to figure that out is to be able to grab you a Bible, start reading, start getting good understanding of the stories that are in there, and you're going to start understanding people around you better. It's powerful. We got so many books out here that are powerful that I've read, but this book right here is more powerful because it's speaking exactly about who I am and who you are. It knows you. It knows everything about you. It knows every reasons on why you do what you do. It knows what you're about to do. It knows everything. And it's scary at times when you start reading it but being able to know and understand yourself is going to be able to give you and make you and turn you into an extremely powerful and way more knowledgeable, way more wise, way more awakened person on this planet. Because right now, it's a big problem I'm going to say that we're all suffering with. We don't know who we are. We don't know anything about ourselves. We don't like to even take pictures of ourselves because we don't want to put ourselves out there because I'm insecure about that. You don't know who you are. And you don't know who you are because you're not getting the information that you need to make yourself understand what you are and who you are and what you're all about. What you've gone through, what you've been through, and how you're able to get past it, how you're able to get through it. You don't know. You don't know. But when you start to understand that, you're going to stand up strong. You're going to speak strong. You're going to stand up and say, my name is Mark, and this is who I am. This is what I represent. This is what I'm all about. And it's going to be easy for you. It's not going to be any complications behind it. You're going to have a very good understanding about yourself. And with that, man, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for a very interesting day today to be able to continue to keep on researching and understanding this Bible. And something I'm going to say is I'm going to give a good praise to God that I've been listening to this Audible book and following along with my Bible, and something happened today that it just stopped and it stopped working, and it said there's a problem with your download and try again later, or call the customer service number or send us an email. And it just kept happening, I'm just like, what the world is trying to stop me from getting and obtaining this information, and I'm thankful to God that I called the number, and the first thing the number says is the same thing that everyone says. We have longer than normal wait times. Please wait. So I'm sitting on hold, and I'm not going to let this slow me down. That I had faith, I had just patience, I had willingness, and I had a whole lot of self-control. I was just sitting there and just waiting. We're going to figure this out. And then I had to troubleshoot this whole situation on why this one specific book was not working on my list where every other one was working. I had to click on another one, click on another one, click on it. Everything worked except this one. And it just stopped. And I'm on the phone, and then finally someone just answers within a minute. I'm like, oh, longer than wait times. I appreciate you, God. Thank you. And then I'm listening to this person, and I'm telling them this book's not working. And she asked me, what book is it? I said, it's the Bible. She's like, okay, hold on. So we start troubleshooting this, and after about 10 minutes, we get it figured out, and I get it playing back again on my phone. That's something I'm going to say is a very, very powerful thing that just happened to me today, that just opened my eyes up to realize of how powerful God truly is. Because there was a time in the day that I'd be so irritated, so frustrated, so annoyed with seeing stuff like that happen that I would just almost kind of quit. I'll get to that again another day, another time, another whatever. You know what? This just isn't working for me, and it's just blockage, and I don't know. And today, for the first time, I just dealt with it. I just said, okay, cool. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well, maybe I'll just get another one, maybe. But no, this is going to work. So I followed through with my intuition said to just call him. My intuition said just relax. My intuition said just calm down. My intuition said all that because I know I have some sort of forces out here that do not want to give you this information. They're going to do everything to make it so complicated and so complicated. That's why for me, everyone out here that is speaking the real true understanding of knowing the one true God, not the God that's over here and the God that's over here and the God that's those guys, they got 1 million subscribers. They got 1 million views every single day that's going on. I see them. I pay attention to them. I study them. And it's no longer time for me to have to study them and pay attention to them, but to do my own thing, what it is that I'm doing. And realizing that when you really are trying to get people closer to the one God, everything out here is going to try to shut that down. It's going to try to just slam that down to nothingness. They're going to try to just deter that like absolute crazy. Everything out here is going to do that. And that's the enemy of this world. That's the ruler of this world that is trying to destroy us as human beings to make us to be absolutely nothingness. That's the negative aspect of this world. That's the Satan, the Lucifer, what is the other word that they use? The devil of this world that is going to do everything in his power to make sure that we are not able to have this information, to keep this information hidden, because he knows that once this information is actually truly, really out, you're actually going to be able to awake yourself to realize who you are, what you're capable of doing, and that's going to transform everything about you. You're no longer going to be slow and dumb and stupid feeling. You're no longer going to feel insecure. You're no longer going to have people just be able to take advantage of you and just be able to do whatever to you. You're going to stand up. You're going to be able to stand for yourself. You're going to represent something way more powerful than anyone out here. And I'm telling you, everything that's real, it's going to be hard to get that real true information. So that's why for me, I know the one way that you can get that on yourself without having to try to flip through videos and try to find is to grab yourself a Bible and start reading. Start reading it and force yourself through it. We're conditioned today to start reading it and just think of it as mumble jumble. Think of it as nothingness. Think of it as something that just isn't going anywhere. Something that you don't understand. Something that is complicated. And it's not complicated in any way. It's very, very fascinating. It's very, very uplifting. It's very, very revealing. And it's something that we should do our best to fight past what the devil is trying to push upon you, of giving you the That's the best way of saying it. The stupidness of thinking that the Bible is stupid and the Bible is worthless. It's not. It's not. What's stupid is us not paying attention to it and thinking that the devil is right. Thinking that he's able to just be able to use them and continue to keep on keeping us as slaves. The majority of people on this planet, unfortunately, are living in slaves. Or we're praying to other things that are not giving us what we get. And the devil's powerful, and he knows. And he's given some people out here power to make them look like they're gods. And when they look like it and they speak like it and they do certain things like it, you start to believe it. And when you believe it, you start to get further and further away from Jesus. And Jesus is calling you, hey, come on back. And it's the hardest thing is to come back away from the things that you used to do because you're so used to it. And when you try to get away from it, that's when it's going to be real hard because you have such a pull towards the other stuff and it's going to try to pull you real hard to get right back into it. It's going to force you in a way to get back into it. It's going to destroy your entire world, your entire life, everything that you've known, all relationships with people that you've ever had. It's going to destroy you, to force you to get away from Jesus. And that's where you got to make that decision. I want this. I got to do this. Because in reality, once you break past and get through, you're going to be able to say, go back to the old people, to the old things, and realize that it was just a stronghold to try to force you to not do what it is that you do. That you're not going to be forced to be isolated in a way for the remainder of your life. You're just going to be challenged for a little while. You're going to come on back. You're going to come on back when you're no longer going to be able to be manipulated and treated the same way that you're used to be treated. And that's where some people are going to accept you and agree with you, and other people are just going to never even want to mess with you again. And that's fine, because you're not going to need them. You're not going to require that. You're not going to be in your feelings if someone just walks away from you. You're not. You're going to, okay, cool. That's not like a car accident there. Everything is going to be all right. And I'm going to tell you that Jesus is very, very powerful. God is very, very powerful. And he's going to be able to do something for you that is absolutely spectacular. And with that, I got to head on out of here and just say thank you again, God, for allowing me to continue to keep on reading your book and understanding your book and appreciating your book and falling in love with your book. And now I just want to spend hours each day of reading it. And I know for a fact of who I am and what I'm all about that I like to continue to keep doing it over and over and over again. The same way that you explain your stories multiple times, I want to continue to keep on reading this book just over and over to have a really, really good understanding of it. Thank you. And that sure was a big old car accident over there. And I would just ask, just pray for the people, because it looks pretty serious back there. And I'm going to try to do whatever I can to try to help them. But it's just crazy out here, guys. It's real crazy. And I hope that when you see someone struggling, you see someone hurting, that you can have it in you to just pray for them the best that you can and pray to Jesus for them to be able to help them out. Thank you.